Hi, my name is Solomon Araya. I'll be having this discussion on the topic of becoming a police officer, problems of police officers in our society, and the problems that a police officer face, as well as the solution to those said problems. Starting with one on becoming a police officer, the requirements needed to become one. The info provided by the police officer education states as an aspiring police officer need to be of at least 18 to 21 years of age to apply for the post of a police officer. They also need to have a minimum of 2 years of college education. Thus, a diploma or associate's degree is mandatory. Jobs at a federal level need to have a bachelor's degree, since after graduation from high school, you have another 2 years or so of waiting before you can apply. We suggest you get a bachelor's degree, since they may come in handy if you ever want to change jobs or go to a federal level. The education requirements are waived off of ex-Army officers who are honorably discharged. Now, the hiring process of becoming a police officer. Hiring process also depends on the police department. If they accept your application, you must undergo a series of steps to get selected to a police academy. The hiring process consists of written, physical, psychological, and medical tests. It also consists of an oral board where they might use the anomalies found in your background check and application to grill you to see how you react under pressure. There's also a polygraph test that verifies other information. Now, graduating of a police officer. Graduating from a police academy, you are almost a complete police officer. However, you have to undergo a certain amount of time under probations. This means that you are going to receive some on-the-job training while you're a partner with a senior officer. He or she will teach you the ropes of the job and monitor your progress every month. Now, on to the second topic, which is problems with police officers in our society. How the many incidents they have caused, unfortunately. Info provided by New York Times states that the intensity of police violence in America, the fact that it falls disproportionately on black people and other heavily policed minorities, and the continued impunity for police officers who committed wrongdoings which have institutionalized the abuse, all add up to the stark challenge for American democracy, as well as how society views police officers with the actions done today. Until recently, mainstream debate has tended to treat police killing as isolated incidences of individual officers, mistakes or misbehavior by a few bad apples, rather than predictable consequences of systematic problems. Those partial to the phrasing seem to have forgotten that the rest of the adage is spoil the barrel. But in any case, the distinction may be a false one. In divided societies, failure to restrain the so-called bad apples within the police and other security forces is not a capacity issue but a political choice, said Catherine Furman, a lecturer in political science at the University College London who has studied abuse in Sri Lanka, Myanmar, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. Now, 3. The ways of how police brutality affects our societies and people's lives. As the scale of problems in America policing draws on the public, there are growing calls for fundamental change. The city of Minneapolis voted last week to dismantle its police department entirely and replace it with a new force and new approach to public safety. Organizations like Black Lives Matter have called for police departments to be defunded and most of their duties reassigned. New York and Los Angeles have already pledged to slash millions from the police budgets, which then I wouldn't agree due to how it would actually make the situation worse in and of itself. But on to the problems that police officers face, putting their lives in danger while not being appreciated for it. As information provided by an official police officer himself states, in some cases they become very combative. There are also cases where the suspect in question might try to assault a police officer. Not everyone likes police officers. We see them as their worst times and we're used to that, but we have to watch out so that they can't take a swing, punch, kick, or hit us with anything, said by Shunts, an official police officer. Dealing with the amount of stress that they face in their field. Just the physical proportion is strenuous, with how a lot of older police officers that are having heart attacks nationwide that bothers us A law enforcement officer, we don't want to see anything bad happen, he said. Shunts explained the cause for officers having heart attacks on the job is not necessarily because they're physically unfit. It stems from the overall stress of the job itself. It puts a lot of stress on the organs of the body, but staying in shape, like running just a little bit or doing some physical activity once in a while, can help, Shunts said. In some rare cases, Shunts could not rule out the possibility that young officers in their 20s and 30s have had heart attacks while on the job. He also said that if one is responding to a call or running after a suspect that lasts for longer periods, the body is more likely to react with elevated heart rate as the result of an adrenaline rush. Now then, facing with the mental problems while being separated by family or loved ones, and etc. With the amount of time that police officers work in 40 hours per week, including holidays, night shifts, and weekends, as well as not seeing family that much while being in a dangerous career for not being appreciated, it could increase mental health, as well as stated previously how it causes stress to the body, as well as mentally, with how each action that they done is going to be held accountable for them, with how it affects both their lives and their point of view with society. Now, the solution to these problems: increase the process of training to become a police officer. I believe not the time, but the process of becoming one, as in more training focusing on how to deal with situational matters, and as stated before, but how they have a mentoring system, but not all police departments have that system, which I would suggest that they do, as well as having them get to know their community, because of how a police officer shot up a little kid even though he was playing with others, where he had an orange Nerf gun, orange Nerf gun, and he thought he was pulling out a gun. So yeah, as increase the training, as well as psychological matters. Point 2, increase the income of the police officer. Now, with this type of job, they don't really receive that much funding, which would, as well as how they're getting defunded because of the actions that they held accountable for, is going to make the situation worse in and of itself, and have the consequences of being a police officer more punishable. Because nowadays, when they are held into court, they most likely just get debadged and put in a prison about a few years or so, but it needs to be more, consequences added in order, because their job is to enforce the law and protect the fellow citizen, and thus brings an end to this discussion of my topic. Thank you.